Hello everybody, my name is Megan, you're watching Miss Megan Knits, and links to, actually I don't think I talk about anything in this video, so. How are you guys doing? It feels really good to be down here making a video today. I've been away from this channel and making videos for months at this point, and this video is a little catch up where I explain why and what's been going on with me and why I've been gone. I'm easily distractible. There's little to no knitting in this video. Actually, I don't actually show any, but it's referenced a couple times. There's no knitting here, because I haven't really knit very much at all, and everything I have knit has been on Instagram. Yes, this much of a scarf is all I have knit since October. I've been unwell, and I'll get to exactly what's going on with me in the video. My glasses are blue light and I have a laptop down here, so that's why the blue light is happening. I'm really sorry. I don't know how to fix that, and I need these to see, so we're gonna have to bear with me together. Okay. Haven't been well, get on the video. If you aren't interested in what's going on in my life, this really isn't the video for you, because that's all I've got today. So you're free to click away, and I'll see you in a knitting related video whenever that happens. Obviously my problems are ongoing. Not obviously, but the problems are ongoing. And not exactly sure when I'm gonna get back to what I was uploading before, but hopefully I will, because I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I'll see you in a knitting related video. Maybe find one of my past ones if you want to hang out with me. If you are interested in having a little sit down chat with me and listening to me talk about my life and what's been going on in my life, then you're in the right place. Stay right here. I will say though that this is very heavily mental illness related stuff. I don't have any of the usual triggers I see in here. There's no self-harm and no suicide. But if mental illness stuff in general is gonna make you uncomfortable, then just please be aware of that before you continue. You may notice that I am reading off of a script. Most of my videos I either have no notes at all or kind of a rough outline, but today I really needed to write it out beforehand. The reason for that is that I actually have tried to record this video 2 times already, and both of times were just me rambling about nothing at a camera. Somehow the video managed to be too long and also not have the info I wanted to get across. So it doesn't, I don't know. It didn't work, so we're trying this. I will say a disclaimer. I may seem long-winded. I may move in funny ways. I may not make a ton of sense. This is part of what's going on, part of the illness, and I really appreciate your kindness and your patience with these things and with me. Okay, I'm going to talk about several things in my life that have all kind of happened at once, but if I try to go just timeline order, it's going to get really confusing. So I'm trying to divide kind of by topic. So hopefully that works. Well, it should make more sense. So the first one is actually a physical health thing, relatively straightforward. Soon after my last video was posted, I had appendicitis, which led to an appendectomy, meaning my appendix got angry and infected and tried to kill me. And my appendectomy is where I had a surgeon remove it. So I don't have either death. I mean, ruptured appendix doesn't mean death nowadays, but it's pretty bad infection spread, and that's harder to deal with, so it's easier to just get it out. Everything there went completely fine, went well. The surgery went as usual as an appendectomy goes. Straightforward, normal, nothing weird happened. After a week of recovery, I was basically back to normal activities with a couple restrictions on how much I could lift, so I didn't have problems, because it was an abdominal thing and they don't want you to have a hernia. So I spent 6 weeks not lifting anything over 20 pounds. I was lucky with the appendicitis, actually, because it didn't have the typical appendicitis symptoms. I didn't vomit, no fever. I wasn't even really in pain. Like, it was kind of achy and uncomfortable, but like not what you expect from like searing pain of appendicitis. That's not what happened to me. So, and it wasn't even in the same area. Like, usually you expect like in the bottom right of your abdomen, because that's where your appendix is. My pain was around my belly button, so I don't know, but it was a lot less painful than it typically is for people. I didn't even need pain medication until after the surgery. They kept offering it to me in the ER, and I was kind of confused, but it was because they had already been kind of aware that appendicitis was a problem, that it could be happening, and they wanted to make sure I was comfortable, which was very nice of them. But I didn't need it. Nothing against pain medication. I didn't feel like in that moment I needed it. What I had felt almost like bad gas, you know, when it's moving around and you're like uncomfortable and it's like hurts sometimes. Basically like that, except it was right by my belly button. So that's what cued me in, and like, okay, something's wrong, because it wasn't in the location of like intestinal gas pain, you know. After 2 sleepless nights, that's important because with appendicitis, it's time sensitive. So, yikes! After 2 sleepless nights, I was uncomfortable. Mom was like, "Fine, I'll make you an appointment with the doctor." She was rolling her eyes at me like, "Nothing's wrong. You're fine. Take a Tylenol." And so when she called the family doctor to make an appointment, the person asked the symptoms, and she's like, "You need to go to the ER." The ER is a long and wild story, because I was there most of the day, including... I'm so sorry if you can hear his footsteps. Someone's walking upstairs. I'm trying. The ER was a wild story, including needing EKG and triage because my heart rate was so high. I was fine. It was just fast. And, you know, pooping my pants. It happened, folks. It happened. The important part of the whole ER thing is I had a CAT scan. They saw my appendix. They saw it was angry. They figured out the problem was, you know, of course they also checked like my white blood cell count. They didn't just look at the CAT scan, but everything else also pointed to appendicitis, really. And I had it out that same day. They got me in for surgery at like 3 or something. Yeah, because it was right when my boyfriend was going to work. It was weird. I texted him and I'm like, "Okay, I need surgery." And he's like, "Okay, love you, I'm going to work." And I'm like, what? But he couldn't have come to the hospital anyway because of the COVID protocol, and he was really far away. And what is he supposed to do? Like, you know, he needs to work. So, but it was a little jarring at the time. I needed to stay overnight in the hospital because it ended up being late in the day when I had the surgery. So, however many hours they have to watch you afterwards, basically, they just get me overnight. Yes, and once I was back home, I was sore for a week or so, like almost like a combination of bruising and muscle soreness, just from whatever the heck happened in surgery. I had a big bruise on my belly button because that's where the big incision was. It went in my belly button, and it was like a giant mushroom-clad bruise. It was cool, but also weird. So that wasn't fun. It didn't feel good. And it took time to build my appetite back up to where it was. Yeah, I just couldn't eat as much food as I used to be able to for some reason. And it took a while to kind of get back into eating my usual meals. I actually managed after surgery with just Tylenol for pain relief. Although if I was also able to do like a Motrin type deal in conjunction with it, then I would have. I can't. NSAIDs aren't great interacting with the lithium I take, so you know, that's a tricky one. Of course, when I told my psychiatrist, he told me, he's like, "You could have called me, we could have changed your lithium dose around, and so you could have had ibuprofen." And you know, it's not like a no-go completely, just, you know, it's a hassle. And I was like, by that time I already felt better. I was like, okay, well, good to know, thanks, right? So as far as the other part, personally, I love medical stuff. I'm a medical information nerd. If I was able to function on a lack of sleep, I'd be in med school now. I'd be enrolled. However, maybe not. I would have been pre-med. Depending on the year I was supposed to have graduated. My point is, I'd be in school for that. I thought my surgery was super cool. And I had like an adrenaline rush that lasted for about 2 weeks, and I felt pretty good. So that's good. That's about to change, folks. Second big thing is my mental health. So this has been, up until very recently, the most bothersome struggle. Yeah, I'd say that. I'd say my other thing is more bothersome. Yeah, but okay. The mental health stuff. Did you get that? The major reason I haven't been knitting or making videos or doing anything that I enjoy besides listening to music and singing is that my mental health has been really bad. Now, I know that for myself, I'll start from the beginning. I have bipolar disorder. I've said that in a few of my videos. I try not to make it the focus of my videos because I do other things with my life. You know, I am not just a bipolar person. I am a person who has bipolar who does other stuff too, who likes to knit, and that's what this channel is about. But I can't explain why I've been gone without talking about the reason why I've been gone. And hopefully me talking about what's happening with me is at least contributing to having a better discussion around mental health from people who need help, people who are getting help, people who don't know anything about it and are trying to be supportive and learn more, all that stuff. So here I am talking about it. That was a tangent. Okay. Did I explain bipolar, mania, depression? You cycle back and forth between them, usually over weeks to months, not over minutes to hours like you see in the TV shows. And that's it. I mean, they're both kinds of episodes are awful. Mania, I don't even really experience euphoric mania. A lot of people do, where they get really, really happy when they're manic. It still has a big negative impact on their lives because they're still doing a lot of impulsive things, a lot of reckless things. So usually people who are really happy in mania still don't like it when they realize what has happened. Not everybody. Lots of people I've seen. I've been manic and like confident, like a normal person on a good day confident. I don't generally get above that point. I have maybe once. But yeah. You've probably seen in my videos where I'm manic. Because when I'm manic, I do a lot of creative projects, including YouTube videos, and I post a lot. So if you see several posts from me in a very short period of time, probably. Okay. Anyway, I know for a fact that my bipolar likes to act up in the fall and in the spring. I tend to get depressive type symptoms, episodes, things in the fall, and manic type things in the spring or early summer. It happens pretty regularly, pretty much every year. And usually it's just a little tweak in the medications, and it just kind of fixes itself. So that's what happened this past summer. I got a little manic. Teeny bit of Depakote, woof, now I'm better. Yay, right? But this time's a little different. So fall. I generally have terrible depression. Yeah, I said that. The week after I made my last video, which was end of September, so fall, I was in a really terrible depression. Like, depression for bipolar people is very similar to depression for folks who have major depressive disorder. It's the same type of symptoms. It's just that ours also goes manic, so that's what that is. It was bad. I couldn't get out of bed. I would lay there and just cry all day in the dark under the covers. This was lasted about a week, and then the appendectomy hit. So it would have lasted longer than a week had I not had that appendectomy adrenaline rush I talked about earlier. After that whole thing settled down, the depressive part started to creep back in, and it got bad enough to require changing my medication. Little ups and downs, or little for me, probably bigger for other people, but those you can sometimes kind of ride out because changing meds has its own set of problems. So you want to avoid that if it's possible, but it wasn't. However, my doctor was trying to do only like small tweaks because I had been good on the medications I was on for kind of a while. So you don't want to change a good thing, but it got out of hand really quickly. So I am going to quickly summarize my drug changes from my last video until now. I actually don't remember where I started. Lithium and Depakote, gabapentin, which hasn't done anything fancy. It's not even mentioned here because it's been the same. Lithium and Depakote, was there something else? I don't remember. It wouldn't have been an antipsychotic. I got off this. I don't remember. Here's what's happening. So first of all, remove the Depakote, because the Depakote was the thing bringing me down and making me depressed. He was thinking I was getting too low because the Depakote was just shoving my mood down. So that had to go. I was already on a tiny dose, so you can't reduce it any far. So it got out. However, the Depakote was also keeping me from being manic by doing that. So now, not now, but at that point, I think it's all in present tense, but it was all past. You know what I mean. So now I'm mixed with lots of manic symptoms. Mixed, for the record, is a condition where there's symptoms of both mania and depression at once. So you get some symptoms from each category. It can vary a lot of which ones you get from which category, but mixed is the term for when you have some of both. This is the state I'll be in for pretty much up until now, and including now. So that's what that is. It's my least favorite type of episode. It's really unpredictable. There aren't really any upsides. You never know what you're gonna get. It's depressed and really energetic. Okay. I don't like it. I'm sure that's a personal thing, but I don't like it. So anyway, I was mixed but mostly manic at that time. So bringing lithium up may help with that, because lithium is good at mania and depression, which is why I take it. Works really well for me. So let's bring it up. Let's do it. Let's do it. Oops. Now I'm having lithium toxicity, which means there's too much lithium in my body and it's actually doing harm. For lithium, a little too much is a big problem. So you can be on a totally fine dose, be totally good. I do get regular blood draws, check liver, kidneys, thyroid, that jazz, to make sure I'm doing good. And then a little bit more is just bad. Big problem. Helpful, because some drugs are silent when that happens and they start doing damage and you don't know. Lithium makes it known. Lithium pitches a fit, man. So I will tell you, some of the symptoms, not all of them, were I was waking up 3 times a night from thirst, and then another 3 times to pee because I was drinking so much water because I was so thirsty. I was also confused. Clinically, that's a term, confused. I couldn't think straight, and of course, because I couldn't think straight, it was hard to articulate what was happening to me. So it was very much awful, and I'm trying to tell my doctor, and I'm like, I don't know, my thinking is not working. My thinking is broken. But he figured it out. Can't think straight. Now, on top of all that toxicity stuff, it didn't fix the mixed episode. So, like, the thing it was trying to fix, it didn't fix. And now it was rapid cycling within the mixed episode, which means that the variety of symptoms I get keeps changing and changing and changing and changing. So it's always mixed, but it's different combinations of stuff all the time. In that case, for me, it was about every 45 minutes, I would have a new set of symptoms. I would describe it like I had a deck of cards with all of the bipolar symptoms on them, and every 45 minutes it was shuffled and I was dealt a new hand. And I'm sitting here looking at, like, okay, now I'm exhausted, and now I'm over energetic, and now I'm crying, and now I'm really happy, and now I'm angry, and then of course you start pairing them together. Oh my god. My whole family was suffering. My boyfriend was suffering. I was suffering. We were all suffering. And then, so of course, because of this, the lithium has to go back down to where it was. Actually, we dropped it a little lower than it was to get it out of my system faster, because I don't like kidney damage. The drinking and peeing is a pretty early sign of your kidneys are not happy with you. And so thankfully this was only my dose for I think 2 weeks, and it took some time to actually ramp up to that dose. So I wasn't on full strength for more than 2 weeks. And then I went right back down. So I should be okay kidney-wise, but if I would have kept that up and not been talking to my doctor or not been monitored or whatever, it can get bad. People do have a lot of kidney damage from lithium, so you gotta be careful. Okay, we bring lithium back down. Still nothing's fixed. So lithium isn't the best for mixed episodes anyway, because I guess it can do mania and depression, but not mixed. Why? I'm not a biologist or a neurologist or a psychiatrist or anybody who would know that. So anyway, not the best for mixed episodes. Let's add trileptal. It might help. Also, makes your birth control not work. So be super careful with the whole sex thing, because if you don't want a baby, you don't want one. And also enjoy all of your period problems that birth control would have fixed, because it's just gone now. Okay, next up. No longer shuffling symptoms around so much. I've stopped doing so much shuffling. We've landed on meandering thoughts, talkativeness to the extreme, feeling exhausted all the time, but also kind of caffeinated. That's a lot of what I describe mixed is like, a lot of the time for me is I'm depressed and exhausted and numb and all that depression stuff, but I feel like someone's made me drink like 3 pots of coffee. So I'm still like awful underneath it, but I'm like energized and ready to go and talkative, and no one can see the part that's so tired underneath, because that's harder to see than the energetic stuff. Anyway, so that happened, so we added some more trileptal, because trileptal was going good. All right, let's bump it up. Increasing the trileptal. We got random dizzy spells for the first few days. I ended up okay. I processed it or whatever. Although, super embarrassing when you're at Thanksgiving dinner with your boyfriend and his family, including his brother that you have met for the first time, and you start getting really dizzy. And you're just kind of staring at your plate because you're like, please don't let anybody see how dizzy I am. I don't know what's going on. And it's okay. Everybody was super nice. Even the brother was the first one to be like, are you okay? Like, do you need anything? I'm like, I'm so sorry. Noah took me to his couch. And I slept. Which was amazing because I hadn't slept really ever in a while. Really very much. Obviously I did, but not well. And that's cool. Anyway. What I say is, I've lost track of how I feel, which I did. I don't know. And I had to sit in front of the psychiatrist and say, I don't know. I don't know if it's better. I don't know if it's worse. I don't know what's happening. I've lost track of what 2 weeks ago was like. I can't tell if I'm better than 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, or 3 days ago. Because, of course, the crazier you are, the more frequently your doctor wants to see you, right? That's how that goes. When you're doing well, oh yeah, once a month. Great. See the doctor. Now it's like I'm having 2-3 appointments a week. I have to laugh or I'm gonna cry. I'm making light of it because that's the way I kind of compartmentalize it. You gotta laugh or you cry. I'm trying to be a trooper, is how my psychiatrist put it. He's like, I know you're being a real trooper. I'm like, I'm trying to be a trooper, but hurts. It's hurting me. It's hurting the people I love. I'm not on purpose, but if I'm irritable or if I'm angry or if I'm talking too much and they're getting irritated with me, like, my moods are affecting my relationships with everybody. And like, I'm not trying, but it's happening. And the way to fix that is to do this whole process. You will see that this is not a very exact science. Anyway. Last track I feel better, I think. I don't know. I'm still mixed. Let's increase again. So we increase again. Now my tremor is way worse. This is what it is now. Ish. You might not be able to see that. But I have a tremor from lithium already. That's a side effect I've known about and I just put up with because it helped. Lithium is helping more than it's hurting in this point, and it's a really slight tremor. I'm fine most of the time. But that increase in trileptal, now the tremor is way worse. I can't even take a picture without it coming out blurry. Like 2 hands on the phone trying to take a selfie, it comes out like freaking blurry, like a mess. You can't tell what it is. I was also super clumsy, and I have problems speaking because I stumble over words and have to do the thing, and your tongue just doesn't. That's just me. And then I'm like, okay, can't do that. Trileptal, back down to where you were. It's like, okay. Then we had several appointments of hold tight and don't change anything and let's see what happens, to see if anything would settle down, if my body would get used to trileptal and try something different. We're trying to figure out what's going on. In that point, saw my OBGYN and got an IUD put in. The IUD is progesterone only, which won't be affected by the trileptal. So while my pill won't work, this one will because it's a different hormone. And no periods. Yay! Then, after that, we switched from trileptal to Tegretol. Oh, I'm sorry, are those too similar for you? Let's try the generic names. Oxcarbazepine to carbamazepine. Thank God the pills look different, because like, I'm usually pretty good at that kind of thing, but when I'm flustered and scatterbrained and already not in a good mental place, giving me 2 drugs, don't take this one, take this one. It's like, okay. Similar drugs. That's why they're similarly named. They're very similar, but the Tegretol might be something I can tolerate better rather than the trileptal, which I didn't tolerate very well at a dose that would have worked. Trileptal was not pulling its weight. It was not doing enough. It was doing something, but not enough. And I couldn't tolerate a high enough dose for the trileptal to work. That's exactly what I just said. Okay. Oh, and because I'm so drug sensitive, and what that means is like I'm a lightweight, but for medications. Pretty much every medication I've taken, I've had to take teeny tiny doses, and they have big impacts. I'm super prone to side effects of all kinds, because the medication just has so strong of an impact on me. I've been in places where I'm taking teeny tiny Zyprexa pills and cutting them into fourths because I need 1/4 of a pill. So it's like a lightweight. I'm also an alcohol lightweight, if that matters, but it's that kind of thing for medication. So of course, teeny doses, big impact, for good for worse. Because of that, I need tiny doses of anything. My new medicine is a kid's chewable. If the video isn't too long, I will insert a video clip here of me trying the kids chewable for the first time. It was actually last night as of filming this, so you might be able to see me react to a kid's chewable drug. I haven't chewed a drug in a long time since I was a kid, but that's that one. You'll see what I thought of it. Kitty chewable new med. I haven't chewed a medicine since I was myself a child, but I'm med sensitive and need tiny doses of everything so I don't die of side effects. That was an exaggeration, but side effects suck. So we're trying this little bar. It doesn't smell like anything, but it's pink, so I'm hoping it tastes like bubblegum. It's for kids, right? I can dream. Okay. Sugary. You know what reminds me of? Oh, no. Aftertaste. Sorry. Ugh. Man, okay. When I first chewed it, it was like candy cigarettes almost. Like that kind of just not very. Oh, again. And like a sugary, like flavorless sugar kind of thing. So I was in on it. And the aftertaste hit, and it's like bitter medicine. Like, tastes like medicine. Like the gross. Ugh. Alright. I think if I was prepared, I could wash it down a little better. I'm hoping, because I gotta do this every night for the foreseeable future. It's like stuck in my teeth. Alright, good enough. And it's also kind of cool that they do this. A benefit of trileptal and Tegretol is they're both anticonvulsants as opposed to antipsychotics or mood stabilizers. That means they're not necessarily mental health drugs, although they do work for bipolar, because that's why we're here. But they're usually used for epilepsy and seizure type stuff. So the good thing about that is that they come in kids' versions. A lot of the antipsychotics don't, because I guess there's not very many occasions where you'd give a child antipsychotics. And if they could, you could do like a liquid form or something. But it's cool that we have a drug that comes in smaller denominations that is a little more flexible for someone like me who's sensitive. Or for children. Because kids do tend to have seizure problems more than they have psychosis. Okay, so here we are. That was today. However, we've got another simultaneously running problem. I don't know what this gesture was. And that problem is tardive dyskinesia. I have a neurological disorder called tardive dyskinesia, abbreviated TD, and that's what I'm going to call it because tardive dyskinesia is a mouthful. This is a disorder caused by long-term use of antipsychotic medication. Now, the longer you're on antipsychotics, especially the longer you're on the same one, the higher the risk of this happening. I am actually pretty young for a TD patient because it usually takes more years on antipsychotics for TD to develop, and so patients are generally older because I'm not even old enough to have been on this stuff for 15 years, you know? Like, I can't have been, so. Yeah, so I'm not the typical demographic of TD patient. However, there's a chance at any dose and any time, right? There's always a chance. So just because it was a lower chance doesn't mean it wasn't going to happen or couldn't happen. I personally was on several different antipsychotics back to back. I didn't stay on any of them for very long, but it was, I wasn't ever off of any, right? I was always on something for about 5 or 6 years. I've been diagnosed bipolar for 6. I don't remember when I stopped. 5 or 6 years or so. The most common thing people say when I tell them this is they ask, like, oh, is it a side effect? And my answer is not really. I mean, it is a thing the medication's caused, so that sort of. But it is a permanent condition. I have been completely off antipsychotics for months. Did you see that? Yeah. For months. Instead, I've been using mood stabilizers and anticonvulsants, like I was talking about, which don't have this problem, but the antipsychotics do. I've been completely off, and my TD is worse than ever. It was less dramatic when I was actually on the medication. So what is TD? TD causes movements that I can't control. It shows up differently for different people. I'm nervous about it, and when I'm nervous about it, it gets worse. It shows up differently for different people, different types of movements and such. I've been told I am not a typical case as far as what movements are happening, so I can just tell you what I've been experiencing. Although, usually in the medication guides, it warns about worm-like movements of the tongue being a really common, like, first indicator, so I don't think I did. For me, it started as a bunny face, so that I did on purpose. I'm going to demonstrate on purpose the things I usually do not on purpose. Okay. And then it moved on to my eyebrows. Especially I'm reading. I've been reading this script. I'm probably making all these movements. I might not be. I don't know. But usually when I read or like I'm on my phone on Facebook and I'm really like eyebrows and different neck and head movements, like a chicken neck or shaking my head no. I've had my boyfriend look at me and say, like, give me a compliment, and I go to respond to him on the text, and he's like, don't shake your head at me. It's like, didn't mean to. He felt bad for saying that. I'm like, no, it's okay. As well as my feet kind of scrunching and flexing and kind of rolling and twisting up in each other and just doing whatever the heck they want to do. They're wiggling right now. My toes. Lately, I've been shoulder shrugging and doing this kind of stuff. And my leg muscles have just been flexing, tightening. I can control my movements if I'm focusing on that body part. So it's not completely out of my control. So like if I am like walking, I don't have a problem with my legs doing weird stuff. Or if I'm talking to someone and making expressions, sorry, my phone just gave me a notification. If I'm talking to someone and making expressions like this, generally my face will obey what I want to do. Because I'm trying to do a task, and so if my brain is directing my body to do something, it will. However, if I'm not actively doing something with like my feet just do whatever they want and start moving. My family actually first started to notice my movements, because I didn't notice them at first. They were small enough that I couldn't feel them, like the bunny face. I didn't know I was doing it. Because like it's not like you're paying attention to what your mouth's doing all the time. My family first noticed it when I was knitting. I actually can't knit and not move my face at the same time. Because like when I have to think about knitting. So I can't think about, okay, legs stay relaxed and feet stay still and neck don't move and shoulders just stay there and mouth don't move all at once while I'm trying to knit. Like I can't. I that's not doable. So like my knitting ends up going mostly okay because the body parts I'm using to knit are fine, but everything else is just, I mean, I should have brought knitting just to show you, but it's kind of like a, at this point, like a knit kind of thing. And that's actually really distracting, and it makes me really self-conscious, and I have a hard time knitting with people around, even my family who like know I have this problem and see I have it all the time. It's embarrassing. It's uncomfortable, and because it's this extreme now, like if it's just a bunny face, I could pull the whole like I'm chewing gum kind of thing, but like there's no way I can play off that happening. And there's stigma in society about people who are twitchy or people who move weird, and I mean, it's not even anything to do with me or my personal self at all. It's just moving, right? So yes, can't knit and focus on not moving my face at the time. Now, also, there's physical pain involved. The moving itself doesn't hurt. Like, it just feels like you're moving, and sometimes I don't even notice that I'm moving because it's just moving, right? However, there's like second level consequences, right? My head moves enough around that my neck has started to ache a lot. My feet move so much up and down that my calves feel sore, like I've been walking around sightseeing all day. Like I've been walking a lot. My legs have taken to flexing, like my hamstrings, and just staying really flexed and tight until they hurt, at which point my brain is like, ow, what the heck? And then I can have to like focus on making it relax itself. So I interrupt myself during the day to like, okay, left knee muscles, like the ones right below your knee, which are happening right now, like, please knock it off. You can deep breath and focus on it and it goes away. But like I can't prevent it from happening if I'm not thinking about that knee every second of every day. That's the worst one, actually, is the flexing and holding, because then I just suddenly am hurting in my leg really bad. And it's just because my leg decided to like, I mean, like a workout, right? If you squeeze a muscle really hard and just keep squeezing and squeezing and squeezing, eventually it's gonna hurt. So that's what's happening. It's not anything about the movement itself, but it's like, you get it. There's consequences. Now, treatment for TD, there used to be none, like until quite recently. None. Sorry, you're out of luck. However, now there are 2 different medications available. Me and my med-sensitive self is hoping to God to land on one of these 2 medications being okay for me. After I've been on, like, in my life, 25, 27 different medications for mental illness, and I'm still not doing all that great. Like, none of them have really been miraculous. Lithium has been my best friend for a number of years, but That's it, right? Like, not super hopeful. I actually tried the first one, Ingrezza, shortly after my appendectomy. So this is where timeline we are. I lasted 3 days on it before I called my doctor and said, please, can I stop taking this? And I don't want to blame Ingrezza. Apparently it's helped a lot of people, and I don't, just because I had a bad experience, personally, me, and with any of these drugs, just because I had a bad experience doesn't mean you will too, doesn't mean someone else will too. Everybody takes it a little differently. What works for me may not work for someone else, or whatever. Like, it's all very personal. So, I mean, I'm sure Ingrezza is doing really well with a lot of people. However, I'm so med sensitive, and Ingrezza only comes in like one dose. They make a big deal. It's super easy. 1 pill once a day. But someone who's super med sensitive like me is not going to be able to handle a normal adult dose of this stuff. And if I could have maybe half dose, it would work. But they're capsules, so they don't split. Like, I can't cut them. And I actually started, because they start you on half dose, and then after a week you go to full dose. Cool. Nope, 3 days. And because I was sleeping 16 hours or so each one of those 3 days, I was getting really dizzy and lightheaded whenever I stood up from a sitting position or lying down position, and if I was standing for any length of time, showering. You know it's bad when you just sit down and take a break halfway through your shower. I mean, I'm sure people with all kinds of illnesses do that, and I've been very grateful that having a mental illness, I have not had to do that very often. However, no, right? I was dizzy, I was faint, I felt like I had low blood pressure, which is something I've experienced before as someone whose blood pressure is usually low end of normal, like low end of normal. So if anything drops it, you don't have very far to go, right? I actually was, doctor told me I couldn't have the medication for my lithium tremors I was asking for a while ago. Or I wasn't asking for, I was asking about the tremors. He actually took my blood pressure and said, like, no, because this medication stops the tremors, but it also lowers your blood pressure, and you can't go much lower. So I'm thinking that's sort of a similar Ingrezza thing. And it probably doesn't have a problem for most people, but for me it was a problem. And I was actually sort of glad about that. I was able to get the first month of Ingrezza through a free trial program. But that stuff is expensive as all get out. And insurance companies don't love to cover it because it's debatable on whether it's medically necessary, because us folks with TD don't generally die from TD. Not really life-saving, I guess, but it is super important as someone who has it. Like, I would like to get treatment for it, please, and please cover it, insurance company, because this is a medical thing, and that's your job, and, like, we pay the insurance company, so you pay for stuff like this, and, I mean, I've been more frustrated with our healthcare system the more healthcare I've needed. I don't know how to fix it exactly, though, so, but, I mean, I'm not a politician or a political scientist or an economist or anybody like that, but I'm not happy from a consumer experience. 2 stars, bad review. And we have good insurance, too. Like, this isn't cheap insurance. Yeah. Insurance companies don't generally like to deal with it because it's expensive and they don't want to pay for it. And on top of that, it's not even available at, like, my local CVS where I go, and all the pharmacy techs know me. Especially nowadays, they know me by name. They know, like, they just walk up and they ask me for my birthday and nothing else, and they know who I am. But it's not available there. I actually had to get mine. You have to go to a special pharmacy. Mine came from a rare med pharmacy, and it was mailed to me from Pittsburgh. Just pretty far. Because I'm just south of Boston, so it's a distance. I'm glad I didn't have to go through all that effort, subject the doctor to the paperwork, subject my family to the copay, because I don't have a job, and my parents have been very kind in paying for this, along with I'm still on their health care because I'm 22, And it expires at 26. I'm scared of what the heck will happen in 4 years, but it's okay. It's okay. One thing at a time. But I'm glad I didn't have to go through all that. Now, the other medication, Austedo, is on the list for me to try. I have an appointment on Friday. My doctor is most likely going to prescribe it. He told me he was going to, unless something else came up that was more important. We've been kind of holding off on it because with all these med changes, like I talked about before, like you want to change one thing at a time, because if there's a problem, then you know what happened and you can figure it out from there. If you're just throwing a bunch of medications at a problem all at once, then you don't know, oh no, I'm dizzy, what caused it? Like, we don't know. So, one thing at a time is the best method, unless it's absolutely not possible. My mood has been wonky, so we're fixing that first, right? Like, if you're changing all these mood drugs, you don't want to then just interrupt for a Austedo break, you know, but it's gotten to the point where I'm hurting. I'm getting in bed every night and just my whole body's aching and my legs hurt so bad. And it's needed now. However, or interestingly enough, TD gets worse when moods are more unstable. That would explain why it's way worse now than it was before I made my last video. I mean, I was diagnosed with TD 2 or 3 videos ago. And it wasn't this bad. Sorry, legs. Ah. It's like I thought about it, right? I thought about it, and then my brain automatically went to like, hey legs, how you doing? And they're not doing. So let me stretch out a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Whew, okay. Come on, we're almost there. One more topic to talk about. Okay, I don't want you to have to look at my laptop, but like I also want to be able to see it myself. Okay. TD gets worse when moods are unstable. TD gets worse when moods are more unstable, generally. So that explains a lot. My psychiatrist, who has been the doctor doing all this medication stuff, is actually going to call his neurologist friend, who he really likes and thinks is respectable as a physician, and hopefully I will get an appointment with that person, and I can get the neurological stuff checked out by someone who's more of a neurological person. Psychiatrist sees TD because it's caused by antipsychotics, so like he knows, and you know, he's comfortable prescribing the Ingrezza and Austedo, but if it's out of hand, obviously pass along to somebody else who has a little bit more of a different specialty to kind of start working on that kind of thing. So it's cool. Now, the last topic. So, last appointment, my psychiatrist, Dan, I call him Dan, he's cool. His name is Dan, I don't just call him that, but people think it's weird to call your doctors by their first name. I just always did it and didn't think anything of it. Not all my doctors, actually, just did. He brought up a treatment that he thinks I really should consider. And I'd been kind of looking into for a while and not really knowing if I should suggest it, if it was right for me, if I should talk about it. And when he brought it up and I looked into some more, I'm excited. You would think, based on when you know what it is, that I'd be terrified or hesitant or uncomfortable, but actually after everything that has been going on, because what I've been talking about going on the last couple months goes on, it's been going on for 8 years. Drug after drug, and they say I've been diagnosed bipolar for 6, so I spent 2 just going from antidepressant to antidepressant and not feeling well. And bipolar isn't treated with antidepressants, so of course it didn't work. 8 years of just changes and changes and changes, and living my whole life drug after drug after drug, and nothing working well enough, or those couple months of, okay, I'm doing great now, life is wonderful, then something happens, right? doing great on Vraylar, got myself into community college, started a healthy relationship. I was wonderful. And then I just couldn't swallow anymore. It's bad when your medication means you can't swallow, so you gotta stop that. And it was like I have periods of being relatively okay a little bit, but I always end up back in this stage of drugs and more drugs and more drugs. And I really appreciate medications, and they've helped me a lot, but I want something else, and in this case it would be more of an in addition to than an instead of. So seeing something other than what I've been doing that works well in a lot of people, that I'm eligible to try. I mean, I haven't gone for any sort of consultation or anything yet, but so far so good. It's hopeful. I am talking about electroconvulsive therapy, abbreviated ECT, which is how I refer to it because electroconvulsive therapy is a mouthful. Commonly known as shock therapy, in case that helps you understand what it is. Shock therapy is kind of a misnomer because the shock doesn't do the therapy. There's an intermediary, the convulsive. Okay, hang on. I wrote that. I went off script and confused everybody, but what is ECT? I have some important nuggets of information. The treatment itself is sending electricity into the brain through sticky electrode pads. Sometimes it's one half of the brain, sometimes it's both halves of the brain, depending on what exactly is wrong or what exactly the treatment is supposed to be. That's something they figure out. The one half is obviously less risk of side effects, but the two halves is sometimes more effective. I was told by my psychiatrist that usually for cycling and mixed episodes, they do both halves. Anyway, electrodes on the brain send electricity in there to make the patient have a seizure. The electricity is not the therapeutic part. It's not the part that does the work. The seizure is the important part. All the electricity does is make the seizure happen pretty reliably. The whole process is very controlled and monitored. You've got all kinds of sensors on you to make sure you're okay. The procedure is done under general anesthesia, which is something I didn't even know until I started looking into it, which is actually nice. Because general anesthesia is like you would be in surgery. You're asleep, you're unconscious, you're unaware, you're out, man. It's like a surgery, you know, you're done, you're gone. And they also give you muscle relaxants because you're having a seizure, and muscle relaxants are going to help you not hurt yourself and things like that. Way back when they first started doing similar stuff to this, but not this, right? From the olden times, they wouldn't do that, and people would have seizures and like break bones from moving weird and stuff. And you know, nowadays, like, muscle relaxants. I will say this is not a one and done deal. Usually there's an initial series of treatments, then you get maintenance treatments afterwards that are like more time in between. So Mayo Clinic estimated 2 to 3 treatments weekly for 3 to 4 weeks initially. So that's a lot of doing this. However, maintenance treatments, from what I've heard, can sometimes be like once a month to once every 6 weeks. Sometimes, you know, more frequently, sometimes less frequently, depending on the person and like what's happening to them. Are they doing okay? That kind of thing. Medications are done right alongside it, like together, because like there's nothing saying you can't do them together. So if a person is on the medication track, they don't have to give that up. And then I guess it's side effects, right, are the thing people worry about. the more common side effects are waking up with a headache and muscle aches, which, yeah, that's expected, right? There's also a decent risk for some memory loss problems. Not everybody has that. Some people do. It's enough to that it's significant. However, almost all the time, the memory loss is a problem with making memories, not a problem with retrieving memories. And that's really important because all of your past life, you're still going to be able to get to. It's still in there. You've still got that, you know? That's not damaged. It's not like a soap opera, I have amnesia and I've forgotten everybody's name and what my own face is. No. Not that. I don't even know if that's been found to have happened with the current procedure or anything. Although it's more about like forming memories around the things that occur around the initial treatment. So if you're talking about a couple months before or a couple months after the initial series of treatments and all the time in between, there may be patches of things that aren't rememberable because you didn't make the memory. And obviously, if you didn't make the memory, there's nothing to get. Generally, you're not making major life decisions while you're doing the treatments. It clears up, right? After the treatments, you regain the ability to do that. It's not permanent. You're not having like terrible problems. Although it's emotionally not pleasant, I would assume, to not be able to remember something you think you should be able to remember. That's emotionally distressing, which is important. There's a difference between like important to logical life and important to a person's well-being. And then, of course, anesthesia. Any risk of anesthesia that would be found in any other way you would have anesthesia is going to be happening here. For me, that's really interesting. I've had issues coming off of anesthesia in previous surgeries, which is something I would talk to my team about. It's not like I'm clearly fine. I just have some blood pressure problems. My first surgery, every time they walked me to the bathroom and I used the bathroom, they would have to rush me back to my bed and hook me up to the blood pressure thing, which would start beeping and beeping and beeping and beeping. So like blood pressure just kept dropping. And I had that happen also with my appendectomy when I went pee. The nurses just were shocked that I just was fine, upright, talking, having a good time, seeming okay. Go pee, white, even whiter than this. And anyway, so I have to chat with the anesthesia people about that if I go that far. I'm hoping for a consultation. This hasn't been decided. It's presented as something that may help and I should strongly consider it. It has not been decided that it will happen. And I haven't gone in to see if I'm eligible, just because my psychiatrist thinks my condition meets the treatment resistant or whatever, then like that doesn't mean biologically I can handle it. I don't know, maybe there's some kind of problem I have and I can't handle it. I'm a healthy young adult, so probably not, or paying for it. Most insurances cover it, but I imagine all this procedural stuff gets expensive, and it's a matter of like not only covering the procedure, but if I have to go up to Boston and be there for a month, is it worth driving back home every day? Because that's an hour each way if there's no traffic. And there is traffic, it's Boston. So like, is that like, am I gonna need to stay there? Yeah, am I gonna need, there's just, it's a lot to think about. But yeah, so anesthesia, it's got its own thing, just like any other type of anesthesia. And yeah, the more you're under anesthesia, the more likely you're to have a problem with it, because you're there more times. If every time you have a half chance, which is totally not true, you have way less chance than that, but if every time you have a half chance, the more times you do it, the more likely you are, right? more times you flip the coin, more times you end up unhinged. So like that's something to think about. But I'm a healthy young adult with no physical problems, so I think I should be okay. And if not, the team will tell me when I go in for a consultation. By the way, the consultation usually includes like brainwave monitoring and a physical exam and like all this stuff to make sure you're healthy enough for it. They don't just say, all right, come on over. Yeah, that's not how that works. It's weird. I think if most people think about like having that done to them, it would be very different than the reaction I'm having. I'm excited. I actually have been like really, really hoping I get to do it. Hoping I get to be eligible, hoping everything goes well. I'm not afraid. I've been playing tug of war with my mental health for 8 years, and before that, before I even, realized there's a problem, I got to help. But some things have helped, therapy has helped and medications have helped, and they're good things, and I still recommend everybody try them. Not everybody, but if you have a problem where that might be helpful, try them, see a doctor, see what's up. For me, it just is a struggle. I'm limited by what my body can handle, which is not great when it comes to the medication thing. I can't handle very much. It's just not, it's been a struggle. I'm running around in circles for years, and yeah, it could be worse, right? Medication has helped significantly. I don't know if I'd be here if not for therapy and medication. I don't know if I'd be doing this. I don't know if any of this would be happening. But it's just not enough, I'm treading water, I feel like I'm in the middle of the ocean in a tsunami with a surfboard. And it's like, I'm like, well, it's better than not having a surfboard, right? I mean, if I had to just do it all on my own, that would be harder, but this is still not ideal, right? So I'm not getting better. I'm not moving towards my goals. I'm not flourishing the way I want to. I'm not able to do the things I want to do or the things that make me productive in society. I'm not able to do any of it. I'm laying around doing nothing. I'm existing. I'm breathing. And I'm okay. I'm not living. I'm not very much further ahead now than I was 6 years ago when I was diagnosed bipolar. And those are 6 years of my young life where I'm supposed to be getting shit done. I'm supposed to be productive. I'm supposed to be like graduating school and entering the workforce and, going to college or whatever it is that, but it's a time of great change. It's a time of great progress. And I'm not doing that. I'm not. And I want to. I'm not any closer to, well, I am a little closer, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I managed to get my GED after dropping out of high school. I managed to start online college and do like 3 successful semesters, and then last semester I just, because of all this, I just stopped going. I stopped checking in. I don't even know what happened to that. I can't. I can't even look at it. I'm here, but I'm not living the life I want to live. Or the life I would be capable of living if not for this problem, right? And so the fact that there's something out there that's been studied like crazy because it's been around for so long, and this has been proven safe and proven effective, and or safe. I mean, obviously anything has risks, right? Any medication, any treatment, anything you do is going to have risks. So of course there are risks, but it's very, very safe and generally a pretty effective, especially considering the people who are getting this are the people who are getting better, right? The people who are the harder cases are the people who are getting this. And I might be eligible. I might be able to try it, and it could help. Someone, granted, I'm getting the statistic third hand, but it was like 85% success rate. Heck, I'll try it, you know. It's worth it for me. I have hope. Instead of laying in bed every night and crying and begging whatever the heck is out there, so please help me and please, you know, make it so that I'm suffering a little bit less, and please help my family and just please make this better. This comes up the next day, and it's something to try. It's something that could, it's a possibility, right? It's not another drug or, you know, another this or another that, or let's try this again, or it's new and it might work. And I'm not scared. It's almost like facing like a whole life of what's happening now is scarier than having someone put electricity in my brain. And it's a chance, you know. Obviously not 100% proven to be working. Maybe I'll have side effects, you know. There's stuff on the table, but there's a decent shot of me being able to get a jolt and stop suffering and start living. And what is life if you aren't living it in whatever way makes you happy? Do what you can to live life however you're gonna live, living it. And there's steps above me, ruined by sentimental moment. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this clears up where I've been, and in the off chance I'm talking to me from 8 years ago, you're worth it. And if you're only existing, do what you can. I mean, I wouldn't, just because I'm saying like I want to do ECT, like everybody should do that, because I don't even know if it'll work or if I like it or if it's a terrible experience, but take a chance on yourself. You know, whatever that is, if it's a struggle that you want to get doctor's help for, mental, physical, whatever, if it's a situation you need to get out of, if it's a situation you want to get into, you deserve better than to just keep on doing things that aren't working for you. It makes you happy. Thanks for watching. My name is Megan. This has been Miss Megan Talks About Her Mental Health Struggles for an hour. I'll see you in a future video. I don't know when that'll be.